Yeah.
Okay.
Hi guys, so I'm Georgia. Kia ora, Riley.
Kia ora, romo mai.
And today we'll be talking about the social, political and cultural impacts in Aotearoa for our time period, which is pretty much the last decade. I know we're the last presentation, so we'll try to keep this snappy because we do have the best time period at present. Anyways, this is just our presentation outline. So our time period was a time of curriculum reform, post-COVID recovery, and efforts to honour Te Tiriti or Waitangi education. We did it a bit differently to you guys, so I'll be talking about attention, and then Rogomai will be doing a principle, and then Riley for an event. So it'll be me, him, her. But yeah, our whole aim of this presentation is to critically reflect on how social, political, and cultural factors from the last decade have influenced Māori education. So the tension I'll be talking about, my first one, is equity versus systemic barriers. So pretty much, that's the gap between fairness and reality. Does anyone know what equity means? Raise your hands if you know what equity means. Okay, that's good. So pretty much, equity means giving learners, every learner, an equal opportunity to learn. But even in the present, like leading up to all of your guys' time periods, even now in the last decade, Māori learners still face systemic racism, under-resourcing, digital inequality, and constant gaps in achievement, attendance, and engagement still. So pretty much that means in mainstream schools and even kura kaupapa, because of these things like racism in schools, not having a laptop or even a quiet space to work, kids and even like Māori kids especially are still like not coming to school, low attendance as before. What else? Still lack of resourcing, no like free laptops or not enough free laptops, not enough free books or resources. And this reference down here, Bergen and other authors state that racism can be built into school systems, so it continues without people noticing. For me, this tension shows that we need more than just policies, and we need real change in how the system works. And I'll hand it over to Rogomai.
Kia ora. So, partnership. So I just want you to think about what part do you play in being a partner within the Māori education. What's your role? So basically, well, for me, partnership is Māori and Pākehā, and in between there's a bit of a gap with Māori education, and so the Māori has to work beside the Pākehā has to work beside the Māori, and to come to terms with how Māori would like to deliver Te Reo Māori or deliver Māori education at school, what they want taught, and working with the iwi and hapa and the whānau, and within the communities they're developing the Māori education program. For myself personally, I think it's great because I'm having to learn about the principles. This is the first time I've sort of stepped into the Treaty of Waitangi stuff, whereas before I didn't care anything about it, only because so when I was at school learning Māori at my college in New Plymouth, we were, it was all memory, so learning things like e tuku e rea mō ngā rā o te ao, and that was it was an educational thing put forward by Sir Apirana Ngata back in the days. So a lot of that, so we were learning stuff like that. We weren't so much learning te reo, but it's great that today that we can walk side by side. It's not always, I don't believe it's always, there's always going to be some tension because that's just how it is. Māori, so listening to everybody else has actually been really good because from back the first presentation, we've always had to come in second. Māori have always had to apply to put something forward. We've always had to wait for a response, and that can be really hard. But you get the right people in there in partnership, playing their role for Māori education, to be led by Māori and to be for Māori, but not only for Māori, for all New Zealanders. And so that the non-Māori are learning what they need to know, they're learning the truth. Yeah, that's me with that bit.
Okay, so this slide talks about the compulsory New Zealand Histories curriculum, which was established in 2022. It became a rule that all schools must teach Aotearoa New Zealand history. This was a big step moving forward. It means students now learn about colonisation, Māori resistance, and the stories of their local iwi and hapu. Before this, a lot of our school history lessons focused more on Europe or overseas events. Māori history was often left out or only briefly mentioned. Now schools must teach about New Zealand wars, land loss, and the impact these events have had on Māori communities. For me as a future teacher, this is important because it gives me the chance to tell the full story of our Māori people. The good parts and the hard truths. The Ministry of Education says knowing our past helps us create a fairer future. It also opens the door for Māori ways of learning.
My second teaching is treaty promises up against implementation. So this is pretty much talking about how policies are often mentioned in the treaty, but the delivery is really uneven, even from back when it was signed up until now, which is really sad because it's been so much time since the treaty was signed. I think we can see in the teaching industry that some teachers do apply and bring Māori worldviews, but some people are still not confident enough or lacking the knowledge to bring it about and teach the children as well. Sometimes the treaty may feel like just a tick box exercise instead of a guiding kind of foundation for how we should teach our future community. But the Waitangi Tribunal says that leaving the treaty out of teaching keeps unfairness in place. But for me, this means making sure that the treaty is part of everyday teaching through partnership, protecting culture, and encouraging Māori participation. No matter what ethnicity you are, I think it's really important because this is the country that we live in right now.
So my next one is protection. So with the role as a participant in, as a partner, with your role as a partner, you have a role of protecting the Māori education. So for instance, when we did the karakia yesterday, we were all in partnership with what we're going to do, karakia, waiata, who's going to say what, and in that way, I believe we're protecting it in the wānanga, in our wānanga environment, because it's quite, there's a saying, titi tonu ki taku wairua. So it's close to the heart, close to your spirit. Those of us that speak te reo, we know what that means. We can interpret that ourselves to look into here. But protecting the reo, it's our taonga, and it's important that if somebody says a word wrong, we'll nicely say, no, it's like this, or give them some. So my friend tonight, my taxi driver over there, Lauren, she's asked me some questions, I want to learn te reo Māori. So I just say, I've suggested, well, how about learning haka mana para tawanga wha? Because that's what the kids, they start from learning the vowels. And so I'm just going to suggest that to everybody. Because once you get your tongue around how to say it, haka mana. So let's all say it. Haka, mana, para, tawa, ngā wha. Heke, mene pere, What's that?
Te
Yes, so on and on and on and on. So what that does, it just brings your tongue where it needs to be in saying Te Reo Māori. And for me, that's a big deal, getting the words pronounced right, because there's nothing worse than somebody saying Mandarin. Hey, Manukau. Sometimes I say it just to have fun, but you know, it's those little things. And but yeah, protecting our reo. So protecting is more than just preserving the culture. It's about action. Programs like Te Ahu o Te Reo Māori. Does anybody know Te Ahu o Te Reo Māori? Am I gonna mention this? Oh, no. Just a little. Oh, yeah. Anyone know about Te Ahu o Te Reo Māori? So it's a body that protects and promotes Te Reo Māori as our taonga. Is she going to talk about the? Okay, all right then. I'll stop it there.
So finishing off what Matoro Mai started, Te Reo Te Reo Māori began in 2019 to help more teachers, it was for everybody really, but to help more teachers learn and use Te Reo Māori in schools. It wasn't just for a language course, but it was to incorporate the reo into everyday things. The program gave teachers more confidence to use Te Reo in any subject. For example, a maths teacher could use or explain fractions in both English or Te Reo, or a PE teacher could call activities in Te Reo Māori as well. So this shows students that the language is valuable and normal in any learning area. For me, this program inspired me to keep learning Te Reo. I've seen how language connects people, builds pride, and helps students feel their identity is respected within their learning area.
So I'm just going to cover this. So Te Ahu o Te Reo Māori. So that's Erica Stanford. She's the Minister of Education. So 30 million was removed from Te Ahu o Te Reo Māori from that program, which some were saying that it was very successful, they were getting good outcomes, and so on and so forth. But Erica Stanford did an evaluation which was all negative. So they moved that funding, 30 million bucks, that's a lot of money. So they moved that money into maths to buy resources for that. Fair enough if that needs that, but then, like I say, we're always coming in second, take it from there and just put it over here. And that's the thing with the government, that they'll make decisions based on their decisions without maybe consulting those that are going to, on the back end of it, you know. And this is actually it's what's the word? Quite sensitive and emotional, you know, because you want to get angry and you want to do a haka, you know. So we're just giving you snippets of what we've been able to research, and there's more to what we're just giving. You know, there's more to participation, there's more to protecting. It's a whole, it's Te Ao Māori. We're protecting Te Ao Māori. And yeah, I could go on and on and on. Probably.
Yeah, so my last tension, or our last tension, is cultural identity versus standardization. So when I talk about standardization, I'm talking about the kind of westernized ways that NZQA or NZCA or NCEA are assessing us. Not just our Pākehā, but also our Māori and our Pasifika students. Many schools focus more on tests than on cultural ways of learning, like, for example, rangahau, etc. That's why I think we thrive so much in a wānanga environment, because it's very different to how, I'm pretty sure all of us in this room have learned different ways in college, just as it changes, but I'm pretty sure we do all benefit from this wānanga environment. The STEM push side approaches like learning through whānau, storytelling, and community projects. Standardized tests often miss the real strengths of Māori learners. they're so disadvantaged, and I think it's really important that we all learn about it because what's growth without addressing the issue? Life skills in Te Reo Māori and tikanga or cultural problem solving totally like missed off of what NCEA and NZQA is testing out telling on. This quote over here says standardized assessments often fail to capture the culturally grounded strengths of Māori learners, and I think that's kind of the groundwork in which we're pretty much letting the Indigenous down, pretty much.
Oh, geez, Alright, participation. This is participation right here. Just listening to our presentation. All of us coming to the kura under the roof of Te Wānanga o Aotearoa, participating beneath a wānanga as opposed to a mainstream. Participating in the karakia. But it's for me, I can't help it. I've got to come from a personal. It's all great learning, but I've got to break through all of this old stuff of mine. Arrogance, heaps of arrogance. What do you call it? Want to swear at the mainstream and all that kind of thing. But you know, I've got to change my ways. I've got to change my ways to participate. So that I can be a good teacher then. You know? And heck, mind you, when I finish this 2 years I'll be getting my gold card. But anyway, that's off the sorry. that's off the Kaupapa. But yeah, participation. For my son, I try to speak as much Māori as I can. For my mokos, the same when we do see them. My daughter, she went to Tukumapiri Mauria, which was in Hamilton. She spoke Te Reo Māori at the Koanga. Then her mother pulled her out and took her to mainstream. Back then there was this thing going around that young kids that were coming through Kohanga Reo into Kura Kaupapa, there was weren't learning as well as expected as they would into mainstream. And so my daughter was one of those, I suppose. And it really killed me because she was speaking Māori to me. And I was still learning Te Reo. So I'd go and pick her up at Kuanga, and then out all these kids would come with all this Te Reo Māori. And I'm like, oh, you know, aia kapai, you know, because my reo wasn't there. But then it all stopped. The Reo Māori stopped. And that was quite a, but anyway, you get over it. And so now she's wanting to learn her Māori again. I'm still learning my Te Reo Māori. You may think that I'm confident out there. I guarantee you, every speaker of Te Reo Māori always gets the bit of the ihi and the wea sister knows, you know, getting up to speak or sing. And yeah, participation. If you feel it, just get in there, learn Te Reo, and mai piki mai kake mai ki te ao Māori o Te Reo.
Nice.
My final slide is about post-COVID education between 2022 to 2025. COVID-19 changed how schools work when lockdowns happened. Learning had to move online very quickly. This worked for some students, but many Māori and Pacific learners found it hard. Some didn't have laptops, good internet, or Whaka's work. COVID showed us that the education system isn't equal for everyone. It also made schools focus more on well-being and not just grades. Teachers started using blending learning, online part in the classroom, and took more care to understand what students were doing through it. For me, the biggest lesson was that relationships, resilience, and finding connections matter just as much as the subject I'm teaching. The Education Review Office found that Māori and Pacific learners were affected the most. That means as teachers, we need to make our classrooms more welcoming, fair, and supportive for every student of every race.
Just before we wrap up with Whakatauki, I just want to thank you for staying this long and listening to our presentation. I know today was a long day, but I think, looking at our findings from our research compared to all of yours, I think it's just really disheartening that, like, there's still disparities for, like, our Māori, communities all over the place, and that change, or true change in the government is still yet to be found really, but I'm pretty sure that we have improved from, like, the earliest timeline, but yet again, like, we're still in the process of getting where we should be, in terms of monitoring. But I'll give it to Norman.
Okay, all right. So, say with me, tōku reo,
Tōku reo,
tōku oho oho,
tōku oho oho,
tōku reo,
tōku reo,
tōku māpihi maurea,
tōku māpihi maurea,
tōku reo,
tōku reo,
tōku whakakai mari.
tōku whakakai māihi.
Thank you, beautiful. My
Māihi.
language is my awakening, my language is my treasure, my language is my prized possession.
Oh, cool.
That's basically the translation. You can translate it any way you want, but make sure that how you translate it, it is a taonga.
Mm.
Yeah? And Alicia's gonna sing the song for us. Yeah, so we've heard the song, yeah?
Yes.
Tōku reo, tōku oho oho, māpihi maurea, whakakai mārehi. Neira.
Neira.
So yeah, kia ora tātou, mō te whakarongo, kia mātou, tēnei rōpū, tēnei te mihi, tēnei te mihi, kia ora tātou, kāti.
Kārawe.
Korero mai, anybody, pānui, anybody, etu, koutou. O wai te waki waki.
Any pātai?
I liked your guys' topics, and very nice to see the change from the stages that we've gone through. Yeah, I loved it. It was refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Refreshing, yeah.
Well, it's refreshing.
From the beginning to the end, like, we've actually made some changes. Oh, you know what I mean, like, you can see the transition, you can see where we fit into it,
Yeah.
and what we need to go away and research our own selves, or don't know how our own selves, have conversation. Because now you're in a better place of, you're in a better place now, or formed place of knowledge, and what you do with this is going to be a tonga either way. We see, that's what we see as kaiako when we look at all of you, how, where you, especially we envision, we have this vision for you all, we have the vision of you walking across the stage and going into your own kura and creating waves that will change everything to do with our country in general. And so, yeah, I'm grateful for today, thankful and grateful. It can be a very long day, but that day was full of things that we needed to anchor us in for the next part of this year. That's why I love this one in particular. Now we have knowledge, we can't erase that. We now know what that all looks like. Some more than others. And that's why I always say, guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it flows everything that you've seen today. Also, I don't use it as a, this is what it was and this is what creates who we are today. I look at it as a, ooh, watch out world, I'm coming for you. So it gives me ammo to move forward and still make changes and be inspirational and all of those things in between. The other cool thing too is now you know that those are the three things that we should be looking at everything through: social, political, cultural, all the time. I don't know why we didn't beforehand if we didn't. And now, now from this moment on, this is how we're going to walk through life. Also, let us work through how we're going to do this with your other presentations, because obviously the time, I'm just so grateful that you stayed for one another. You showed up for one another. You know, that's the biggest part for me. Is seeing you all here and seeing how valuable each other and the kōrero was for you today. It did take longer than we anticipated, but hey aha, we did it. So again, homai te paki paki. Looking forward to your submissions.